Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. The re-election campaign slogan of the Biden administration is already emerging. In fact, I think the White House press secretary actually dropped that slogan, if you will, and this is a key indication about what the Biden administration is going to focus on, what they're going to emphasize, what they're going to highlight, what they're going to brag about in the coming years. This is a quote, a direct quote from the White House press secretary, Jen Psaki. She said, President Biden will be the first president in the history of the United States to create 1 million jobs in the first 100 days. Folks, you heard it here first on Ignition Time. This is going to be a slogan that we'll hear over and over and over again during the midterm elections, during the re-elections, during the next presidential election. The Democrats are going to play this over and over again, essentially talking up the fact that President Biden is the first president in the history of America to create 1 million jobs in the first 100 days. Now, I want our viewers and subscribers to know that a lot of these jobs that are going to be created are going to be a direct result of the rebound that is going to happen from the pandemic. But President Biden is going to try and take as much credit as he can from the job creation, which is going to be a direct result of the green energy economy that we are heading towards. In fact, I believe both the public sector and the private sector are gearing up for a green energy economy. I'm talking electric cars, I'm talking solar roofs, I'm talking about a complete reinvention of the American economy. And if you don't believe this is about to happen, I have news for you. It's already happening. I live on the East Coast. I have a lot of friends who live on the West Coast, and I can assure you that over the next few years, the entire economy, the entire country is going to undergo a green energy revolution. And I believe this is also going to start happening throughout the world. In fact, certain pledges have already been made by the Biden administration to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and to allow and to facilitate green energy throughout the country. So let's take a look at what Jen Psaki had to say about this. Here's a clip of Jen Psaki essentially dropping what I believe will be the next campaign slogan. Again, you heard it here first on Ignition Time. Please click the like button, please subscribe, please enable notifications if you appreciate our efforts. Let's check out this segment where Jen Psaki says that President Biden will be the first president in history to create 1 million jobs in the first 100 days in office. Let's roll the tape and hear from Jen Psaki.
I know there's been criticism out there or questions about how this is going to impact job creation today, right? And job creation in our economy today, or some criticism, I should say, from some Republicans in Congress that I've read this morning, seen on on Twitter. But the president is somebody who will be the first in history to create 1 million jobs in his first 100 days in office. He's on track for that, in our view. And a lot of these critics are the same people who advocated for the policies of the last administration, in the last president who oversaw an economy that lost more jobs than any president since Herbert Hoover. It's quite a name. So join us on the journey. We feel clean jobs can be good jobs, create millions of jobs in the future. And that's, I think, what we're conveying to the American public.
Now, if you've been following the news, a lot of people have been freaking out that President Biden plans to double the capital gains tax rates on wealthy Americans as a way to pay for infrastructure. Folks, I assure you that my capital gains tax rate is going to double based on what President Biden is proposing. And to be honest with you, I'm completely okay with that. I believe that the wealthy should pay their fair share of taxes for the honor, for the privilege of living in America, of enjoying the capitalist economy that exists in America, and most importantly, balancing the scales. Let's take a look at Jen Psaki as she talks about the rich, the wealthy, bearing the burden on the backs, if you will. It's a phrase that she used. Infrastructure should be built on the backs of wealthy Americans. Let's roll the tape, and I want you to tell me whether you agree or disagree in the comment section below. Let's roll the tape.
The Biden administration is going to propose doubling, essentially, the capital gains rate for high-income Americans. Can you tell us any more about that plan, and do you have any concerns that that would discourage long-term investing?
Well, we're still finalizing what the pay-fors look like. But I will say that the president's calculation is that there's a need to modernize our infrastructure. There's a need to invest in childcare. There's a need to invest in early childhood education and making our kids and the workers of the next generation more competitive. and he should propose a way to pay for it. His view is that should be on the backs, that can be on the backs of the wealthiest Americans who can afford it, and corporations and businesses who can afford it. And his view and the view of our economic team is that that won't have a negative impact. There are alternative views, or there are proposals that don't exist yet on how to pay for it. That will be a part of the discussion. But he stays firm to his commitment to not raise taxes on Americans making under $400,000 a year, and he'll have a range of proposals on how to pay for his plans to invest in education and childcare.
So what do you think? Let me know. Meanwhile, the internet is blowing up. A lot of YouTube channels are like, oh my God, this is the end of the stock market. Folks, everything is going to be okay. If the stock market goes down, it's not going to be because the wealthiest 1% of our fellow Americans have to pay no taxes. They can afford to. And to be completely honest, the wealthiest Americans can find ways and can find legal loopholes to pay less taxes because they hire accountants, and it is a full-time job of the accountant to help individuals legally find tax shelters like investment properties and all sorts of other deductions. Let's take a look at this headline on your screen from Bloomberg. Biden eyeing tax rate as high as 43.4% in the next economic package. Folks, when you consider federal income tax, state tax, this could mean some individuals in states like New York and California could pay as much as 50% of their income by way of taxes. And the stock market is already wobbling a little bit. Here's the headline of another article on your screen, also from Bloomberg. Fat valuations and tech stocks seen as at risk in Biden tech plan. In other words, technology companies that have been overvalued, that essentially are richly valued, could suffer the consequences. And to be honest, folks, if anything is overvalued, it's going to come down sooner or later, whether there's a trigger like these capital gains taxes or some other thing that just tends to pop the bubble. These things happen. I don't let the daily fluctuations of the stock market bother me, and I strongly recommend to you that you don't let the daily fluctuations bother you. You need to know which stocks you want to buy, at what price you want to buy. You need to get in at those prices, and you need to hold over the long term, which is fundamentally my strategy. I also sell some covered calls on the stocks around. So take a look at this Bloomberg article. The capital gains tax hikes could cut S&P valuations by about 7%, according to UBS, and history shows that momentum lags before capital gains increase. In other words, things tend to cool off a little bit before the capital gains tax rates go up, and then things tend to fall even more. Folks, I want you to know that for Congress, meaning the House and the Senate, to support this capital gains tax increase could take several months, and it may not even happen. So I don't think the impact on the stock market is relevant, because this may or may not happen. But what's more important is that the stock market, specifically certain stocks, are indeed due for a correction, in my opinion. Also, venture capitalist Tim Draper, who's a well-known venture capitalist, you'll see this headline on your screen from Bloomberg. Tim Draper says capital gains tax hikes could kill American jobs. Folks, there are always going to be people who think it's going to be the end of the world. I don't think that the capital gains tax hike is going to kill American jobs. I think the rich have enough money. They'll simply maybe make adjustments elsewhere. But everybody needs people to do the work to be able to run a business. So although this is a headline that I did point out in our video, I'll provide you with a link to this article in the description section below. I believe in the end, we're going to be okay. And the one trend that is absolutely irreversible, like I mentioned at the start of the video, is the trend towards green energy. Here's an important comment from Jen Psaki, where she talks about the future of green energy, and she says this is where the public sector and the private sector is heading. And then she says something that really jumped out at me. She said that future administrations should be able and will be able to build on the groundwork that this administration is laying down. Very interesting comments from Jen Psaki about the vision of the Biden administration, about a future that involves clean energy. Let's roll the tape and hear from Jen Psaki.
Well, again, I think as my colleagues here spoke to, this is where the private sector is going. This is where government is going. These are industries that are going to create jobs in the future, and we certainly have every expectation and hope that future administrations will deliver on the groundwork we do over the next several years.
So that was it, everyone. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Jen Psaki's comments about who should pay for infrastructure, the future of green energy, and also what's extremely important is the entire approach of the Biden administration towards infrastructure and clean energy. I personally think the biggest takeaway is the new campaign slogan, the first president in history to create 1 million jobs in 100 days. Whether you agree or disagree, whether you think that this is the president taking credit for something that is a normal rebound, the fact is politics is about timing, opportunity, tribalism and perception. And if this happens to be a slogan that the Biden administration and the Democrats can latch on to, it could be a winning slogan for the midterm elections and the next presidential elections in 2024. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. Please click the like button, please subscribe, please enable notifications. I would really appreciate that. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.